Welcome to this episode. In this episode on our continued series whereby we were working with Svelte JS in Laravel and Inertia, I would like us to go ahead and create a table in the database. So I'm going to run XAMPP and I will start mysql and Apache. And I think in this case, it's just necessary for me to start MySQL alone because it's just for the database connection, because Laravel runs independently, sort of. I would like to go ahead and create a database. So I'm going to go to env.env file, and then inside here, I would like to change the name of the database. And I would just like to call it Svelte, like that, and I will save that. And after that, I would like to also use terminal and create a customers table. So I open terminal and create customers table because we are just going to list customers in this tutorial, and then in the next tutorial to be able to create, we'll be able to delete, we'll be able to also show and manipulate the customer data. So in this case, I'm going to use the command php artisan make :model, and then I want us to create a customer model. But I want, together with this customer model that we are creating, I also want us to create a little bit more. I want us to have a controller. I want us to have factories. I want us to have migrations. I want us to have policies, probably, which we will not use, and then the resource, the form requests, and so on and so forth. So I will just pick all of them. Some we will use, some we will not use in the scope of this tutorial. So I'll just put -a. It's supposed to be -a. I have put without the dash, so it's going to throw an error. Maybe I can just cancel and repeat that command and then say -a like that. And now that one will work for us. And now as you can see, all those things have been created, the policies, controllers, and so on and so forth. And so I would like us to just go to the database and migrations, and we are going to check on the last migration. And this migration is what we will have as a customer details. So I want us to create a column which we are going to have it as a string, and then we will call it the name of the customer. Another column, we can also have table string, and we can have the email of the customer, and then we can also have table and then a string also, and have the phone of the customer, like that. So these are the tables that, the columns that you're going to have in the customers table. And because we do not have a way of creating a customer, I would just like us to leverage the factory. And under factories, as you can see, we have the command that we ran previously created for us a customer factory. And so when you open it, inside this place where we have return, we can be able to put our information. But I would like to just copy some of the things that we have in the user factory, because what we are going to use values that are very similar. I will pick the name and I will pick the email, and then for the phone we are going to create something in there. So these ones I'm just going to paste them like that. So this will give us a fake name, and then for email we are also going to get an email, and this email will be unique and it will also be safe. So let us go ahead and also do something about the phone. And in this case, I would like our phone field to have the country code before it. So we're just going to have phone, and I want us to say fake, and I want also this phone number to be unique, same as the way the emails are. And then I also would like to just tag E164 phone number, and this we actually ensure that these phone numbers are together with the country code. So this that we're having before, like this. So now I still would like to go back to migrations. Maybe we can put a little bit constraint on the email, because if we want our email to be unique for every person, because if you have somebody else registering with the same email and still our system is accepting it, then we'll be having an issue. So even for the phone number, I want it to be unique. So we can just set that constraint like that, such that in case we find that there is an existing phone number already in the database, then this new phone number will not be able to be registered. So I think that is it. And I would like us to now, using whatever factory that we have created, to be able to create a number of users. And what we are going to do, when we go to our seeders, again, inside here you will see something that was created that was not there, because the only one that usually there is the database seeder, but this one is what we have also been able to create just now. And inside the customer seeder, I want us to create a number of customers. So I will open it, and here the first thing I want to do is to import the customer model, use app models customer, like that. And then after that, I would like to now create a number of customers. So in this case, let me say customer factory, and then we can decide what number of customers we want to create. So in this case, we can say count, and then inside here we can pass in the number of customers that we want to create, and then we can then pass sort of like a command to create 10 customers inside the the customer table. After that, I would like to just run this customer seeder, just include it. When we run PHP artisan db seed, it will run this database seeder. So for us to be able also to have our customer seeder taken care of, we can come to the database seeder and just call this customer seeder. So here I'm going to say this call, and then we are going to have that one, and maybe I can just set it like this. If you set it as an array, you can add other seeders here if you have them. So customer seeder, as you can see, the name that we are typing is exactly this one, and then we are saying class, and that is all that we need to do. I want us to do the migrations, in other words, create the tables. So we are going to run the command php artisan migrate, sorry, and this, you migrate our tables. And remember, we have not created the database, so just in about a while, we are going to have a prompt here telling us that we do not have an existent database, and then we such that we can be able to create. So it says this database Svelte does not exist. On the MySQL connection, would you like to create it? We can say yes, and you create our table. So if we are to open Chrome and visit localhost phpMyAdmin, because we visit localhost phpMyAdmin, that URL, we will be able to see our database. But I would like to just go ahead and also seed the database with the fake data that we have created. So I'm going to also run another command, php artisan db seed, like that, and this you'll be able to seed our database. So once our database is opened here, we can see that we have a table called Svelte, and then when we open it, we have inside here several tables. So this is the database, and then several tables. When you open the table called customers, we actually have 10 customers. So these 10 customers are the ones that I would like us to display in our page. So let us go ahead and work on that. And what I want to do is that we are going to go to the controller. So in this case, we have a controller that was also created in that command that we ran, and our controller is called customer controller. And inside here, I want to make use of the index function. So here is where I would like to return all the customers. So in this case, I can just include, in fact, we have the model already included, so I do not need to do that, but I can say use Inertia, like that. And then I'm going to pull all the customers. So I'm going to say customers is equals to the customer model. And in this case, I would like to get all the customers, and I can decide what values I want to get. So in this case, probably I can be able to get the ID, and then the name, and then the email. There are so many ways in which you can be able to do this in Laravel. So this is just one of the ways. And then this you get for us the customers. And for us to just check that this is okay, I would like to go to routes and create a route for that hits this method. So here I'm going to create a route. This one you will just have it like that. Here we are going to have a route get. In this case, we will have customers, and then we are going to call our controller. In this case, our controller is a customer controller class, and then the method that we are in this case calling is index method, and then we close it like that. But for us to be able to use this shorthand, because you're supposed to type the location of this controller fully, I would like to do it up here. So I'm going to just remove this data, and then I'm going to say use app HTTP. This is the location of where our controller is. Then controllers, then customer controller, like that, and then we can be able to use it. And actually, if we go to check, you will actually find that our customer controller is actually in app, then HTTP, then controllers, then customer controller, like that, the same way we have referenced it. So now, because we have the route, I would like to run our application in terminal. So I will open new terminal, and I'm going to run php artisan serve, and then I will also run npm run dev for purposes of compiling the Svelte front-end assets. And then I will visit the URL localhost, and this you bring us to where we were yesterday. It seems my machine is a little bit having some kind of lag, but I think we're just doing fine. So I will give it some minutes for it to load that page. And now our page is loaded, and as you can see, this is what we had yesterday. But I would like to visit a route called customers. And remember, when we look at our customer controller, there is inside the index method, there is nothing that we are returning. We have just declared customers, and we are returning nothing. So if I hit enter, actually it's going to give us nothing. And then here, once we say return, then if we refresh again, we are now going to get an array of customers. So in this case, you can see you have the ID, the name, and the email, and we are not being given the updated that and created that. So I think everything is appearing perfectly. Now I want us to now show this data in our Svelte page, and so I want to return. So in this case, we can say return Inertia. If you don't use this again, it will not bring anything as a casing point to whatever it is that we had here. So I have deleted it, but then now here is where we are supposed to have it. Return Inertia render. And then inside here, we are going to talk about the page that we want to, the Inertia page that we want to render. And remember, in our, when you go to resources, JS, we only have the pages folder with one file called welcome, and that one we are not going to use. So I'm going to create another page which we are going to call customer here, and then we are going now to pass the array of values that we are getting from the Laravel end, and here what we have is just customers, and I will set it to the variable that we have above there, customers, like that. And I think whatever it is that we need to do on this side, we have done. I will close this with a semicolon, and that is enough for us to be able to receive the data on our front end. Now, I would like to go ahead and create a page here called a new file called customer. Did I call it customer? Yes, singular, customer, like that, .svelte. And then after we create it, then I would like to scaffold here with some data. But before we do that, I would like to have another folder here where we will have some shared data. So I'm going to create a new folder that we are going to call shared. So we can create a folder called shared. We can also even create another one called components. We just ensure that all of them are inside this JS folder, like that. So now inside this shared, I want us to have several files. In this case, I want us to have the header. So header.svelte. And then I also want us to have footer, probably. Our application, the application that we are building is very simple, so we do not require all this, but just for purposes of learning, I want to ensure that if it's possible, I can be able to cover a little bit of ground on how to create an application. So just allow us to go through all these for purposes of understanding. Now, I want to begin with headers, and here we will have script. And then after that, now we are going to have our data here. So maybe I can enclose it inside main. And then I'm going to just go to bootstrap.com and pick a navigation bar from Bootstrap. So we go to documentation, and then I want us to go to navbars. Navbars. Yes, navbars here. And I would like to just copy one of them. Probably let me look for something nice down here. Probably which one? We can those ones that have color schemes, maybe. But I'm not really interested in so much of all these things. So let me just copy this one, and you paste it here like that. We are going to save it. I also want to have something for the footer, and then we will extend all of them. So let me see where do we have footers. I can search here. And this one is bringing for us cards. Really? Is it that there are no footers here? I guess I'm going to just pick one from a file that we once worked on when we were doing one of the other tutorials. So I'll just go to downloads and then go to Bootstrap 5.3.0 examples, and I'm going to show you where those ones are in a few, such that you can also be able to either download and be able to have access to code that is similar to what I have. So I open it with Visual Studio, and then there are several footers here. So let me just pick one. Yes, like this first one here. Can just pick this one, and yes, maybe without the div. Yes, and we can have it exactly the way it is. We can copy it and paste it here like that, and we are going to save. And now when you look at it, these ones I'm getting from this example. So when you go to bootstrap.com examples, if you download these examples, you have a folder. Once you extract it, you have a folder called footers. You can be able to open that file, and you'll be able to get something similar to what I'm having here. Now after that, I want us to now create a new file called layout.svelte, like that. And then inside here, I want to import the two things. So script, and then we are going to import header from @shared @/shared, and then header .svelte, like that. And then I will also, in a similar fashion, import the footer. So maybe I can just copy what we have here. Like that, and this one you're going to call it footer. And you're going to call it footer.svelte. And really, we can now go ahead and now have our layout. So in this case, in our layout, we are going to have the header, like that. And we are also going to have the footer. It's capital footer, like that. And then in between here, I would like us to have a div with a class of a container. And then inside here, we can have a slot. And in this case now, every other data that we pass from when we import this layout as a child component in our pages, then we can be able to pass in now the page data, but it will contain our header and our footer. So let us go ahead and now create inside pages. I want us to create, or we already have customer.svelte, and here I want us to have script, like that. And inside here, I want to import just one file now, which is layout from @shared layout.svelte, like that. And then inside the body, we are going to use our layout file, layout, like that. And inside here, I would like us to go ahead and put in a table. So I'm going to go to Bootstrap again, and I'm going to go to documentation and just copy a simple table from there, and then we will continue from there. So let me see, where do we have tables? We have tables somewhere above here. Yes, tables are here. And this first table is just okay. This first one, you do the trick. And so we are going to copy the whole of it. We are going to paste it inside here. And then I only require to have one table row. So I will delete this one. I think there are several. I will also delete this one. I'll just leave only one, because we will be rendering the data dynamically. So now, if I visit customers again the second time, now I'm going to load this page, and I do not know why I'm not having my layout. Oh, I used small letters, because now it is referencing to something else which is not this one. That is my bad. So we will have it as layout, and also the closing tag will be capital L. So capital L only. So you have to name them exactly the way you had. So now, as you can see, we have a navbar above here, and we have a footer, and then everything is like that. And then this one is talking about the navbar with an inline element and something. So probably I can go to the header and delete something, this span. I can remove it. Now I would like to just talk about something, and this relates to us having the links in our header.svelte. And for us to be able to have working links, then what we are going to do, we are going to have to import Inertia. So we can say import Inertia from, and we can say Svelte Inertia.js Svelte, like that. And then inside here we can be able to go ahead and use it. So I would like to just check in a few places where we have links. For example, here where we have navbar, the navbar brand, I will remove the w text and whatever, and then here what I'm going to do is just inside this a tag I will just type in use Inertia, like that. And this will definitely turn our link into now an Inertia link, and in this case, when we click on it, then we will not have a full page reload. Let us just check it out and see that is the case. I attempt to refresh. Now when we click on navbar, now you can see there is something that is loading, and then we are going to that page. When I click on this one, it is going to this first page because it is the one which in our web.php we have set to sort of like the home page, just the /. So that is why it is taking us to this initial thing that we had. But of course, our page that we are in is customers, like that. And so I would like to also do the same for another link. So in this case, we can be able to do the same for another link. So I go to header.svelte, and then we will go to another link. In this case, we have a link called home. That one is the one that I'm looking. Even this one, we can still have it going to /. And again, for us to be able to make it work without reload. Currently, if I save it without adding use Inertia, let us see what it's going to happen. It's actually going to go to that link, but you will see that there is a reload. When I click on it, you can see there is a page reload, but that is not what we want. So for us to avoid that, we can just say use, again :Inertia, also for this link, and we are going to save. Now if you check, if we click on it now, home, if we click on home, now there is no reloading here. It just goes directly. There is no reloading, as you can see. It just goes directly to that page. So I want to change this one and call it customers. And so I am just going to the next link, which I think is called features, this one here, and I'm going to give it / customers, like that. And then again here we are going to say use Inertia, like that. And then this last one, I think we do not need it. We will remove it. So basically that is how our navbar is going to look like. So I'm going to just change the name here from features to customers, like that. And then now when I refresh now and I click on home, it takes me to this one. And since I have not done any extension of this navbar, then there is nothing that is showing as a navbar. But then we can be able to do something in that page, and the page is this one here that we are calling welcome, and we can just say import layout from shared. Yes, we can even have it like that, shared shared layout.svelte, and I think that one is perfect. And then we can wrap whatever it is that we have here inside the layout, so like this. And so once we have it like that, and I copy this and be able to move it here, then we can be able to also have that layout also affecting this specific page. So you can see when we are at home, we have this message, and when we click on customers, we have this kind of table. So now I would like us to go ahead and just modify a little bit our table, and then be able to load our users. And once we are able to display our users, then that, I think, will be the end of this tutorial. So we have this one, we have the name, and then I want us to also have the email, and then I also want us to have the phone, basically everything that we are getting from the database. And then we are also going to have a table header here, which we are going to call action, and still we can give it the scope of column, the same class, the same thing as for the others, like that. And then the same thing we are going to do here, because I think now we need one more table data here. And once we have it, I would like to have 3 buttons here. So we're going to have button class btn info, and then we can call this one view. Probably we might not need to use this one, but we will just attempt and see. And then we have another button, button class, the bootstrap class btn primary, and this button we can call it edit. And then finally we have the last button, which we are going to call delete. So button class btn danger. This one you give it red, danger, and then we are going to say delete, like that. So I think we have our buttons displaying nicely. And then now I would like us to go ahead and be able to do a little bit more. Whenever you have these pages, you usually have a display of where you are, sort of like the meta information. So such like the title and so on and so forth. So that is what I would like us to do, and be able to have a title above here. And for us to be able to do that, we are just going to use an inbuilt method in Svelte, and in this case we're just going to say Svelte head, and we are going to put it outside layout. So here I'm going to say Svelte head. And as you can see, you have Svelte head, Svelte body, and so on and so forth. And inside here now we can be able to put whatever it is that we want. So I can say the title, so we can have title, and we can even set this title here we say this is the title of our page, and we can also be able to load this title dynamically from our Laravel backend. So I'm just doing it from here. So we can say let title, maybe let me call it page title, and then we are going to give it a name, and let us call it customers, like that. And here we can be able to load the page title like that. So when you check, as you can see now here, it's now not showing localhost /customers, but it's now showing us exactly which page we are in. Now I want us now to get whatever it is that we have in the database. Now remember, we actually saved our data in a variable called customers, so that is what we are going to access from here. But remember, this one I've put capital just to sort of like differentiate with what it is that we'll be doing. So here we are going to have export, and then let, and then we can talk about customers, the customers that we're getting from the database, like that. And then after that, then I want to iterate through the customers and be able to show them here. So what we are going to do, we are going to use the Svelte Each, and in this case we'll just loop through the customers and then display them. So I want, before we have the table row here, just before the table row, inside the table body is where I want to put the each sort of like loop. So we write it like this, hash each, like that. And then now we have customers. So in this case I can write customers as customer, like that. And then now we can be able also to close this loop. So you go to the end where we have the end of table row, after table row, and I will say we are closing that loop, just like that, /each. And then after that, now we can be able to go ahead and display our users. So the first thing that we need is the name. So I will say customer.name, like that. And here we can say customer.email. And here we can have customer, just single curly braces, customer.phone. And if you have worked with Vue.js, you find that there are slight variations, but picking up Svelte is not that difficult. So let us check and see if our customers are displayed. Now we can see that we have the name, the email, and then for the phone we have them as undefined. And probably, I do not know if we got them from the database. Let me go back and check in our controller if we also included the phone, and there was no phone, so that is the reason why it's giving us undefined. So we can add phone, like that. And once we save, if we refresh, then clearly you can see we also have the phone. So I would like this to be the end of this tutorial episode. We will continue with other episodes whereby we will be able to set a navigation bar here, such that, you know, sometimes if you find that now the customers have become 100, loading them on one page is not efficient in terms of the resources. And so if you can be able to paginate, you can be given the users piecemeal, and then obviously now we will also be able to work on edit, view, and delete in tutorials that are upcoming. Thank you very much for following this tutorial up until this point.